Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here to my channel, my name's Ben. I'm an online entrepreneur, and here on my channel I show you how I run my reselling business in hopes that it'll help you in yours and maybe help you earn some extra income on the side. In today's video, I'm showing you guys some stuff that has actually sold for me on eBay in the last week or so. This is by no means everything that's sold for me. It's just a good selection of items between clothing and hard goods that have sold to give you an idea of the stuff that actually sells and the stuff that is actually making me money in hopes that it'll help you in your own thrifting adventures. And real quick before we jump into it, this video's positive comment shout out goes to LRN Treasures. They say, great video as always. I learn something new every time. Thank you. Thanks LRN Treasures. I'm glad you're getting something out of this video and that I'm helping you learn something. I appreciate the kind words and for all the support you've shown me on my video. With that being said, let's hop right into it. Here we go. The first item I'm going to talk about today is this Volleybach Nanometer 530 Solar Jacket. This was an amazing piece to find. I was not familiar with this brand before I found it. And if you watched my favorite finds of 2019, this was actually in my top 10 favorite finds. It's an amazing jacket and an amazing brand. All their stuff is really cool. What was special about this jacket is that it was gray normally during the day, and if you left it out in the sunlight, when it came to be nighttime, it would start glowing in the dark. So it was really great if you're out on hikes by yourself or with some friends, or if you're out running and stuff so cars can see you. It's an overall really cool concept and not a cheap jacket. I bought it for $2 at a Goodwill store and ended up selling it for a best offer of $350, and it was up for about 3 weeks before I ended up taking a best offer on it. It's definitely a brand to look for. I don't think you're going to find it very often. There's the tag right there. This is on the bottom right hand corner on the front of the jacket. However, if you do come across it in the thrift stores, definitely pick it up because you probably have some bank on your hands if you find one. This next item is actually pretty cool. I had no idea about these when I first picked them up. It's a lot of paperback Boy Scout merit badge books. You can see there's 51 of them all stacked up right here. And before I picked these up, I knew nothing about them. I ended up looking them up right inside the estate sale, and they ended up having a little bit of value to them. And that's why you should always be looking up stuff that you don't really know about. It doesn't hurt to educate yourself. Even if it doesn't end up having value, at least you know that for the future. These ones ended up having a little bit of value. I had them listed for $45 originally, ended up putting them on 15% off sale and selling them at $38.21. I had $1 into the entire box of these, so I made a pretty good profit there, and this ended up shipping media mail because they were paperback books, so shipping was pretty cheap. Next up, we have this Eddie Guerrero wrestling t-shirt. Now, I'm not into wrestling at all and never have been and probably never will be. However, I do know that there are a large amount of people that are into wrestling and that there is a big collector's market for it. I've sold a ton of different wrestling stuff in the past. I've sold a bunch of the figures, the wrestling rings, accessories, and t-shirts and clothing. So when I saw this sitting on a rack at a thrift store, obviously I'm going to look it up, and it ended up being worth a little bit of money. I ended up selling it for $35 and I had like $3 into it. Wrestling stuff is desirable and has a good collector's market. I've actually sold some other vintage wrestling t-shirts for well above what this one went for. So if you see wrestling t-shirts, it's always worth looking them up because they might be worth some good money. This is just a basic cool men's shirt. Kayuu HL is the brand. You can see the tag right here. It's a very good brand to look up, and one that I find relatively often. Pretty much anything you find of theirs is going to be worth something, from the shirts to the pants to the jackets. It's just an overall good hiking brand to look for, and one that is very desirable in the outdoors world. It's a really good bread and butter item to look for. You'll come across it relatively often, and it's a very fast seller. This was on my store for a week or two before it sold. Here we have a Tiger Electronic Pinball LCD game. These are actually really collectible, especially if they're brand new in the packages. This is actually one of the lower end, less desirable models. There are some of these that are worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you can find the correct ones. This one, like I said, is on the lower end of them, but still ended up selling for $50, and it was only on my store for about 2 days before it sold. I found this at an estate sale earlier this week, and these little LCD handheld games are something that I always pick up, whether they're sealed in the package or if they're just loose. It's definitely worth picking up for a couple bucks because you're going to be able to flip it relatively quickly and for some good money. Here we have a North Face woman's quilted vest. You can see right here it has this diamond pattern on the front. That's what makes it quilted, and quilted is a great keyword to help your listing stand out and rank better in search results. Now, I had this one listed for $35, but it was sitting around for a while, so I put it on 15% off ended up selling for $29.71, and I think the reason that this one sat longer than what other ones would was just because of the sizing on it. It was an extra small, which isn't a hugely desirable size. The North Face is one of those brands where I'll buy some of their products but not some other ones. I typically buy the jackets and the vests and the pants and stuff like that. However, I don't typically buy like their base layer t-shirts or the base long sleeve shirts. And the reason that I don't pick up the base layer stuff is just because it sells at a lower profit margin than what I want, so I tend to stick to the jackets and stuff just because they sell for more money. But the North Face is definitely a brand to look out for and one that I pick up very, very frequently. Here we have that Paper Mario game. I picked this up at a thrift store for like $3. I actually forgot to list this. I threw clothing on top of it and totally forgot it was under there. And once I finally listed it, it ended up selling really fast in about a week's time for $50. Old Nintendo games, whether it's an NES, a Super Nintendo, or N64 games, all this stuff sells super well, and you should definitely be picking them up if you find them for cheap out in the wild. So a few weeks ago, I picked up a couple pairs of Rock Revival jeans. I showed it in one of my videos. I ended up paying $10 a piece for them, and this was the last pair that I had left. It ended up selling for a best offer of $40. Almost all of them sold for a best offer of $40. All of the jeans from that video were women's ones, so around the $40 to $50 range is typically what you'll get for women's Rock Revival jeans. Men's ones are worth a little more. They're in like the $50 to $60 range typically. Rock Revival is definitely a great brand to look for and one that should be on your bolo list. If you can find them for cheap, you should definitely buy them. I typically pay up to around $10 per pair on the Rock Revival jeans. On the inside of the waistbands, you're going to find the model of the jeans. So these ones were Lauren, and as you can see right there, these are boot cut jeans, size 30. You also want to look around the pockets and stuff. Typically they'll have this little print on the pockets. They'll have a pull down tab. It is a jean brand where there are some fakes floating around out there, so just be aware of that. If it looks like it has bad quality stitching or anything like that, it might be something that you should be more hesitant on, but overall it's definitely a brand to keep your eye out for. So here's another item that I've never sold before. These are DJO leg compression braces. I found these at a thrift store for $6 and ended up selling them for $35 in about 2 weeks. And I actually had quite a few offers on these before I ended up selling them for full price, so these are definitely something to look out for in the future. Here's what the box ended up looking like. These ones I thought were brand new in the box. I'm pretty sure they were never used. However, since the box was open, I sold them as used here on eBay. I was gated on Amazon to sell them, so I didn't sell them over there. They ended up selling pretty fast, and it's definitely something that I would look out for. So if you're ever out at a garage sale or a thrift store and you see some kind of leg compression systems, it's probably worth looking up. Here's another brand that I find pretty often. It is Spyder. You can see it right here. This is what the logo looks like right here on the chest of it. Here's what the tag looks like. Spyder's a great brand to look for. It's a skiing and snowboarding outdoors brand. This one was a 1/4 zip, and it has like a knit pattern on the front of the jacket. Here in Cincinnati, I find this brand pretty often in the used condition at thrift stores and stuff. However, you can also find this brand starting to pop up in like TJ Maxx's and Marshall's brand new retail arbitrage and flip them that way. I've sold a few that way already, and it's something that you might want to check out for yourself. So keep an eye out for Spyder merchandise. Here's another one of those POC snowboarding helmets. I think I shipped out like 3 of these this week. This one was the Orbic X Spin was the model, and what makes it a spin helmet is this blue lining on the inside. If you haven't seen the video of me picking these up, you should definitely go watch it. There was an insane score. I picked up like 20 of these at once, and then I just picked up a few more in this last pickup video that I put out. Before that huge pickup, I had never sold these before, and it's something that I looked up in the thrift store that ended up being worth a lot of money. I've made a very good profit off of these so far, and I didn't only pick up the helmets, I also picked up some leg guards and some shin guards and a body armor and stuff like that. Overall, their stuff is worth money. If you see it at a thrift store, you should probably look up the brands because POC is a very good one to be on the lookout for. Here we have a Smartwool men's 1/4 zip sweater. I've said it before, Smartwool is a fast seller and something that is hot right now. People are on the lookout for it and don't mind paying up for it. This one ended up selling for $35 in about 2 weeks' time. These sweaters actually have a really unique feeling to them. They almost feel like buttery in your fingers, so it's something to look for when you're at the thrift stores if you feel something like that. Here's what the tag looks like if you guys want to be on the lookout for it. So when you're flipping through racks, if you see that, it's probably worth picking up. And it's important to note that this sweater would actually have sold for a little bit more, but it ended up having a little stain right there on the shoulder. So if it didn't have that stain, granted this stain was really light, but if it didn't have that stain, it would have probably went more around the $40 mark. Here's that really cool Syracuse starter jacket that I found up in New York when I was thrifting with Josh. I think we were at a Goodwill when I ended up finding this, and I think I paid like 14 or 15 bucks for it. Ended up selling for 70 bucks. You can see right here, here's the starter logo on it. I actually think this was like a newer remake of one of them, but either way, whether it's vintage or new, it's probably still going to sell really well. If you come across any of these like 90s style puffer jackets with sports teams on them, chances are they're going to be worth at least something. I've sold jackets like this that are from professional sports teams, college sports teams, from basketball to football to hockey. There are just all kinds of these jackets out there, and they're definitely something that you need to look for. So in my last What Sold video, I actually talked about a pair of women's Columbia Boogaboo pants that sold for like 60 bucks that were brand new with tags. This week I sold a pair of men's Boogaboo pants that were pre-owned, and you can see I got $30 for them. They sold in 2 days after me putting them up, and I only had like $5 into them from the thrift store. These are some of the few Columbia items that I still pick up. The market is very strong for these still. Typically you'll see the Boogaboo embroidered somewhere on the jacket or pants, like you can see right here. And both the men's and women's side of the jackets and pants for these Boogaboo items sell very, very frequently. Here's an item I haven't talked about in a while. During garage sale season, I pick these up all the time, very, very frequently, and I sell them very frequently on my store. There's actually a company here on eBay that buys up pretty much all the vintage Polaroid cameras that go up for sale, and that company's called Retrospec. So the majority of the Polaroids that I get actually get sent off to the same user, and they are super fast sellers. You can typically find them for $1, $2, $3 at garage sales and stuff. This one I got in an estate sale for like $1. Ended up selling for 25 bucks same day I listed it. Polaroids are definitely something that you should look for, but they're also something that you should test before you list them and send them out. To test these, that's all you need is an old Polaroid cartridge. The batteries for these cameras are actually built into the cartridges themselves, so when you slide one in, you can hear the camera start up and you should be able to take a picture to see the flash go off, that kind of thing. So if you can get your hands on one of those old little film cartridges, they're definitely something to look for and to have laying around your eBay room, so when you do get these Polaroids, you can test them out and sell them. So I sell quite a bit of hats. Typically hats are something that sell right around like the $15 to $20 range for me, and they're something that I don't mind picking up even though they are on the lower end because they're super easy to store and photograph. This one's a vintage Baltimore Orioles hat. I had $2 into it, ended up selling it for $25. There are some vintage hats that are worth very good money. Sports teams hats are something that are often overlooked by people at garage sales and thrift stores, but it's definitely something that I always gravitate towards because some of these are worth some very good money if you find the right vintage ones. So here's one of those other POC items that I was talking about. These are leg knee guards. These were the VPD 2.0 ones. These were actually from the original lot of helmets that I bought. They've been sitting on my eBay store for a while. They are brand new, but they were open box and the box was pretty beat up, so I made sure to annotate in that then listing. But the tags and stuff were still on it, so I was able to sell it as new other. And these ended up selling for $90, and I had like $5 into them. So here's an example of a clothing piece that I picked up purely because of the content behind it. This is a Nintendo Legend of Zelda track jacket. And when it comes to clothing, you know, Nintendo's not a huge brand to look for. However, Legend of Zelda has such a huge following, same with like Mario and stuff. If you find like a track jacket or a unique hoodie and it is official Nintendo brand, it's something that you might want to end up looking up. I looked this up in the thrift store when I found it, and I seen that it was worth about 25 to 30 bucks. I ended up sitting on it for about a month and sold it for $25. So here's a brand of jeans that I don't talk about super often, but is one to have in your wheelhouse. These are Hudson jeans. They have a pretty decent following and sell relatively frequently, and the market for these jeans is kind of up and down. Some of the styles are worth money, some of them aren't. These ones are super skinny jeans, so I figured they were worth picking up, and they ended up being worth picking up. I sold them for $35. In about 3 weeks time, I had like $7 into them. But some of these Hudson jeans you want to be careful for, because if they're just like the normal regular boot cut ones, they're probably not worth picking up. Just be on the lookout for Hudson and make sure you're looking up the style of the jeans when you're looking them up. So I've had a few people question me why I buy Nike and Adidas track jackets or windbreakers when they're such a common item, something that's frequently found everywhere, and that they aren't having luck themselves selling. I sell them fairly easily and pretty frequently on my store for around the $25 to $30 range without a problem typically. Now it is important to note, I'm not buying every single Nike and Adidas track jacket that I'm finding. I'm finding the ones that have stuff that are unique about them. So on this particular one, it had a big Nike swoosh on the back, which was a big selling point. A normal black Nike jacket that didn't have this swoosh on it would have been one that I probably would have passed out for $5. But this one had that big Nike swoosh on the back, and it also was a snap button front one, which is a little bit rare to see on Nike jackets. So this is one that I felt comfortable comfortable with picking up and selling, and it sold for $27.50. When you're looking at these Nike and Adidas track jackets, you want to look for like the big logos. You want to find something that's a little bit unique about them. Maybe they have a really cool colorway or something about it. Just something unique about that track jacket, because there's a huge market for these things, and there are a ton of these things that sell on eBay every single day. If you know what you're looking for, you can definitely make money with these kinds of track jackets. I talk about cashmere sweaters a lot. Even the lower end brands like Charter Club and Club Room sell really frequently and very easily on eBay for around the $20 to $25 mark. This one was an Alan Payne brand one, which is a pretty good brand. It also had a nice argyle pattern on it. I only had this one listed on my store for about a week, and it ended up selling for $30. Here's the tag if you guys want to see the tag. As you can see, it says Alan Payne Luxury Knitwear Cashmere. When you are looking at cashmere stuff, you want to make sure there's no holes or snags on them. They are prone to these types of things, and they are something that buyers look for when they are buying the sweaters. So ensuring that yours is in good condition is something that you want to look out for in thrift stores or garage sales. Overall, look for cashmere stuff. It sells very fast and very frequently. Here we have a Patagonia Full Zip vest. This will actually be in the upcoming thrifted video. This sold in 2 hours on my store. I had it listed for 40 bucks, sold for full price in 2 hours, and I couldn't be happier. Patagonia is one of those brands that has transformed from being a outdoors brand to being an outdoors brand and a fashion brand. So the market for Patagonia stuff is even larger now than it has ever been before. You have the people that are still getting the hiking and outdoor gear from it, and you're getting at the people that are just buying it to look fashionable and trendy. Overall, it's just a great brand to look for. Pretty much anything Patagonia that you come across is going to be worth money, and it's going to sell really fast. Here's another really interesting item. I've never sold this before. I bought it for $5 at a garage sale like 6 months ago during the summer, so it's been sitting around a while, and there weren't a ton of them listed on eBay, so I figured I might be able to fetch a premium for it. Wasn't the case. I had it listed at $75 and ended up selling it for $63, but it's a Carnes Brothers 1972 fire helmet. Now this thing was pretty shot. It had a messed up interior. You can see the fabric in there was kind of ripped up and stuff down here in the corners, and it had scuffs and scrapes and nicks all over the helmet. It just wasn't in very good shape, but I thought I might be able to squeeze a premium out of it because there wasn't another 1972 one on there. Either way, this is one of those items that I thought was unique and something that was really cool that could have a collector's market, being firefighter gear. And I'm not upset for what I ended up getting out of it, even if I did sit on it for 6 months. It was something that was unique and cool and something that I really enjoyed selling. Here's another Patagonia piece. This is a men's Regulator jacket, and how you can tell it's a Regulator jacket is somewhere down on the sleeve you should be able to find this little R right here. So this one's a Regulator fleece jacket. It was like one of the furrier ones, and it ended up selling for $45. I picked this up at a thrift store about 2 weeks ago for $7.50. Like I said before, anything Patagonia is going to sell because the market is so big. So here's a brand I don't pick up super often. It's Calvin Klein. However, I do pick up Calvin Klein down jackets and vests. I got this jacket from the same woman that I bought all the Rock Revival jeans off of, so I only had a couple bucks into this thing. Ended up selling it for $25, and like I said, the only reason I picked this up was because it was a down jacket. After you've been dealing with down stuff for a while, you kind of get a feeling for what it feels like in your hands, and that's how you can identify it. However, if you're newer to it, just look at the bottom tag. You should see something that says duck down or duvet or something like that down on the tag, and that's how you tell if it's a down jacket. Pretty much anything down is going to have some value to it because it is something that is very well insulated that people are looking for in the winter months. And you can find down jackets, vests, sleeping bags, pretty much anything that's meant to keep you warm. There's probably a down version of it out there somewhere, and it's something to look for sure. From that same woman that I bought that vest and those Rock Revival jeans from, I also bought one video game, and that was this. It was Final Fantasy, the Deluxe Steelbook Edition, and it ended up selling for $25. These special edition or Steelbook games are definitely something you want to look for when you're looking at like your Xbox and your PlayStation games. They're typically going to be at a higher value than your normal plastic case games, and it's definitely a giveaway for something that could be worth some money and worth picking up. Here's another little bread and butter brand that you can find pretty often in most thrift stores. It's Affliction. I come across it relatively frequently. I typically get around the $20 range for a normal Affliction shirt. This one ended up going for a little bit more because it was a reversible one. So I was able to squeeze like another $5 out of it. Ended up selling it for $25, and I had like $3 into it. Affliction has a pretty good following, and it's definitely a bread and butter item that you should keep an eye out for in your thrift stores. And here is the final sale that I'm going to share with you guys today. This is a pair of CD or SIDI road biking, cycling shoes. I picked this up in a video not too long ago. I think I paid like 10 bucks for them. Ended up taking a best offer of $89.95, so 90 bucks. And these were brand new. They still had like the cardboard on the inside of the shoes, so I sold them new without box. This isn't a brand that I'm super familiar with, but the reason that these stood out to me in the thrift store was because of this little locking mechanism right here on the laces. This is a wire lock lace, and it's indicative of a higher end cycling shoe. And the only reason I know that is because I've sold other ones in the past that are similar to this. So if you're at a thrift store and you see a cycling shoe with this little wire lock, it's probably worth looking them up, new or used. They're going to sell most likely for a pretty decent profit. And that's going to wrap things up, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. If you did, please hit the like button and leave me a comment down below. This helps my video rank better in the YouTube algorithm, and I would really appreciate it. Also, if you like this type of video, please hit the subscribe button to stay up to date and be notified when I release a new video and new content is put out. Subscribing helps me grow my channel, and I help you out with these videos, so it's a win-win situation for both of us. With all that being said, thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. Remember to keep on treasure hunting. Peace.